Hey guys, I've 3D modeled a new Baliscissor prototype. I'm hoping that this will be the first version I sell, or at least loan to people for testing. The most important change was implementing thicker washers. This will ensure that the blades never scratch the inside of the handles, but it means I can't just buy washers now. So I made custom ones on the lathe. This is phosphor bronze. After parting off a few, I can snap this extra material off with pliers and sand away burrs and get it to the exact right size. I say thicker washers, but they're still pretty thin, 30 thou, or about a 32nd of an inch. These will be good to have for the next pair of scissors, but in the future, it's probably not a good use of my time to make them myself. I also wanted to try Teflon. I was just curious to see how much slicker it felt. But I don't think I'm going to be able to make them the same way. Teflon is softer than I thought it was. I guess I'll just forget about that for now. What other changes have I made? I lengthened the handles by 1/8 of an inch. I printed a simplified version to make sure I liked it. It's a small change, but I think this will make the scissors a little more comfortable to hold, and it adds weight to the handles, which will make flipping easier. I've also made slight aesthetic changes, like making the shape of the spacers align more with the scale clamps. I think I still like this concave shape on the spacers, but I thought it'd look a little cleaner if I taper out the effect on the bottom. I've also changed the pin geometry so that they will be supported by 6 pads on the handles instead of 3. It didn't feel like a problem with the last scissors, but the design is just so different from normal balisongs. I want to make sure I do everything I can to make sure it still feels like a normal balisong. The way I got the pin to be supported by more material is by using a smaller diameter end mill to cut the shape. I was worried about using a smaller end mill because of the length of cut required. And now the pins are actually even longer because of the thicker washers. But I decided to give it a shot. I also made the pins thicker. They now fit in a 1/4 inch inscribed hole. I thought this would make cutting with the scissors stronger, but there's another reason. The tolerances on my scissors need to be better. Despite my attempts to be consistent, they range from bad to extremely bad. It's a little difficult making sure I cut every pin the same. Measuring from one lobe to the round section is a little awkward, especially in the machine. When I measure holes, I use gauge pins. I have them in 1/1000th of an inch increments. I can find the biggest size pin that fits, and the feel of how tight it is gives me an even more precise idea of the size. I wondered if I could get gauge rings to do the opposite on the outside of my pins. Unfortunately, they are very expensive. Then I remembered Grimsmo talking about using drill bushings to align tools in his Swiss lathe. The tolerance on them is actually pretty good. They are used to make jigs to help make accurate holes. I bought one that's 0.250 inches and one that's 0.251 inches. If my pins can fit through 0.251 but not 0.250, I can quickly and reliably make sure all of my pins are almost exactly the same size, within 1/1000th of an inch. For non-machinists watching, here's one of my hairs. It's over 2/1000ths of an inch. So, I started making the first pin, and it cut off center. I forgot I decided to make 1/4 inch parts with 1/4 inch dowel pins. I'd have to really expect my clamping and machine to be perfect to do that. I need thicker stock. Which means I gotta cut a bigger pocket for the bigger stock. Alright, let's go. Great. I pulled the threads out of the screw. I drilled a deeper hole, and luckily I had a longer screw I could use. Okay. Now let's go. The smaller end mills seem fine, but at first, neither bushing fits. That's to be expected. With everything I make, I turn on wear in Fusion, and after running something, I usually have to subtract some wear from the tool. Then, I run the finishing contours again. And I might have to repeat this process several times. It depends how cautious I am. And it worked. 0.251 goes, but 0.250 does not. I could have run the rest of the pin, but I had an idea. I created a small boss to cut with the T-slot cutting bit. And I got the wear to the point where I could use the same bushings again. It's not as weird to measure the round sections or anything, but I thought being consistent with the tools that need to match up was a good idea. So, I ran some pins. I was a little worried about having to drill even deeper for the longer pins, but it seemed okay. Hey, they came out pretty good. I made a few. Now I'll worry less about which pin I'm using when I'm trying to get the right size on the blades and handles. Or better yet, I'll always use the same test piece. I also 3D modeled a version with solid handles instead of scales. I'm not sure if people would be more or less interested in that. I want to work with a variety of material, but I mostly wanted the option so I can make sure my next scissors work faster. Either way, I'm confident enough in this design that I've ordered titanium to be water jet cut. Not the steel for the blades though. Lately I've spent most of my time thinking about fixtures. And I think I've pretty much ended up with the same type of fixturing as I'm already using. Except for the blades. I have a bunch of different ideas I want to try. In my next video, I'll get into my first attempts at heat treating. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.